Everything can change in literally a matter of seconds in this league. The confetti from past victories, that's long gone, swept away. And now the brutal, unforgiving reality of the NFL has completely set in for the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles. This isn't just another season we're talking about here. What we have is a franchise resting precariously on a knife's edge. This was a roster built to absolutely dominate, yet now it's fractured. We're looking at high-stakes gambles, crushing physical attrition, and the haunting departure of foundational superstars. Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a team that is fighting an internal war, literally just to survive training camp.
So the question we have to ask is, contender or pretender? Take a second and really let that question sink in. For the last couple of years in Philly, August honestly felt like a mere formality, right? The depth chart was locked in, the stars were perfectly aligned, the expectations? Always Super Bowl or bust. But this offseason, man, everything shifted. The very foundations were shaken to their core. And the answer to that ultimate question of contender or pretender, it no longer rests on the shoulders of the established elite. It rests entirely in the shadows.
Okay, let's dive into this. The harsh reality for these 2026 Philadelphia Eagles is that their entire fate hinges on microscopic training camp details. Sure, they went out and revamped their passing attack. And yeah, they built what honestly looks like a Super Bowl caliber defense on paper. But here's the thing. Paper doesn't block, and paper sure doesn't tackle. The terrifying truth we need to face is that the line between hoisting a Lombardi trophy and watching a season collapse into absolute ruin, it lives inside three very specific, highly volatile roster battles.
Now, before we uncover these ticking time bombs, I need you to join us on this deep dive. Your channel will be called NFL Nexus. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment on what you thought. And if you want to fuel more of these uncompromising cinematic breakdowns, support the channel by becoming a channel member. The stakes are simply too high to miss a single detail here, so let's get right back into the fire.
We've got to begin with what is arguably the most gaping hole on the entire roster, the first ticking clock. We are looking at a genuine, undeniable crisis at the safety position in Vic Fangio's defense.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer lack of proven, battle-tested talent waiting behind the starters. I mean, think about it. Vic Fangio orchestrated a historically great defensive scheme for this exact team back in 2024, but his entire philosophical approach relies on absolute trust in the back end. Safeties are his fail-safes, they're the communicators, the vital glue holding every complex disguise together. Without them, the whole structure is compromised. Look at Michael Carter. He has never played safety at the NFL level. Not once. He is attempting to learn one of the most intellectually demanding positions in this entire defense completely from scratch. Then you have Cole Wisniewski, a seventh-round rookie thrust right into a raging fire. Andre Sam, he spent his career bouncing around practice squads as a journeyman. And JT Gray simply isn't projected to be a factor on every down defense. Guys, one injury, literally just one snapped ligament or pulled hamstring, and this is the group tasked with saving the entire season.
And what about the starters themselves? Well, that situation is equally precarious. It is a terrifying tightrope walk. Marcus Epps has been a loyal soldier for a long time, absolutely, but flashing red lights are starting to surround his stamina and his capability to hold up as a full-time, every-snap enforcer at this stage in his career. And on the other side, Andrew Mikuba offers raw second-round potential, but he carries the catastrophic baggage of a shattered ankle. He is returning from a brutal, season-ending fracture. And look, ankle injuries for defensive backs, they are absolutely devastating for lateral movement. There is absolutely no guarantee Mikuba returns at 100%, or that Epps can survive the grueling marathon of a full NFL season.
32. That number is absolutely crucial. That is where Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles rank out of 32 NFL teams in cash spent on the safety position this offseason, dead last, 32nd. Howie Roseman has essentially checked the couch cushions to fund the deepest, most vulnerable part of the field. This is a massive, calculated, and incredibly dangerous front office gamble. I mean, they willingly allowed Reed Blankenship to walk in free agency. They previously moved on from the dynamic enforcer C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They completely gutted the financial investment here, basically betting the house that they could somehow patch it together on a shoestring budget. If McQualba's ankle fails or Epps slows down, this ranking of 32nd in cash spent will be the very thing that buries them.
But the danger doesn't stop in the secondary. No way. It extends to the literal foundation of the franchise. I'm talking about the offensive line.
And this brilliantly illustrates the timeline of cascading attrition we've seen over the last 2 years. The Eagles have heavily,
heavily invested in a trench-first roster construction. They're paying these men immense sums to be immovable objects. But those objects are beginning to crack under the immense pressure of the NFL. Just months ago, Cam Jurgens was in such physical agony he was literally unable to stand up straight. Think about that for a second. Think about the physical toll required to play in the trenches when simply standing upright is impossible. Then you have Landon Dickerson, one of the premier interior linemen in the game, recently heavily weighing retirement. The pain was just that overwhelming. And Lane Johnson, the absolute anchor of the right side, continues to battle significant, lingering health concerns. These are the highly paid foundational pieces that this entire team is built upon, and they are proving incredibly, incredibly fragile.
Because of this physical decay, the granular details of the depth chart become matters of actual franchise survival. At right guard, Tyler Steen enters a high-stakes contract year. He absolutely must lock down this spot to prove his worth and stabilize a very shaky interior. Fred Johnson returns as the swing tackle, but let's be clear about something. He isn't just a backup. He is a critical insurance policy for aging, ailing stars. He will inevitably be forced onto the field. And the backup center position? It is a completely open battle right now, meaning a player who isn't even established yet is literally one snap away from having to command the entire offensive line in a brand new scheme under a new offensive line coach in front of a volatile stadium. They are one snap away from absolute disaster.
The stakes for this battered unit honestly cannot be overstated. The objective is absolute, uncompromising, and non-negotiable. They must keep Jalen Hurts upright, period. Everything on this offense flows through the health of the quarterback. Furthermore, this line must pave the way to unleash Saquon Barkley. We all witnessed Barkley's explosive 50-yard touchdown runs back in 2024, right? Well, those game-breaking, season-altering plays, they vanish completely into thin air if this offensive line collapses. If they are healthy, they are elite. But if they break down, the 2026 season goes down right with them.
Which brings us to the third void, a dramatic, undeniable vacuum on the perimeter. We're talking about life after A.J. Brown. The Eagles executed an earth-shattering offseason trade, sending their historic, physically dominant wide receiver to the New England Patriots. In an instant, the entire geometry of the field changed. Devonta Smith steps up, officially left on an island as the undisputed #1 target. But you cannot run a modern NFL offense with only one threat. Someone has to step into the massive shadow left behind, which triggers an intense four-way battle for the WR2 spot. It is a classic collision of emerging youth versus desperate established veterans. On the youth side, you have rookie Mecky Lemon, facing the immense crushing pressure to perform on day one. Alongside him is Dontavian Wicks. Opposing them are the veterans, Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore. Men fighting for their NFL lives, desperate to carve out a role, knowing that securing the WR2 spot in this high-octane offense could literally resurrect their careers. It is true survival of the fittest.
So the crucial point is that this battle will be won on psychological edges. Just look at Dontavian Wicks. He didn't just come over in a standard transaction. He arrives with a massive chip on his shoulder, highly motivated after feeling like the Green Bay Packers entirely gave up on him. That burning desire for revenge, paired with the fact that he actually has a built-in, pre-existing connection with the Eagles' new offensive coordinator, gives him a fascinating and frankly dangerous edge in this fierce competition.
And that coordinator, Sean Mannion, brings a philosophy that drastically raises the stakes for whoever wins this WR2 battle. Mannion's scheme is a highly distributed passing attack. It is a direct, urgent response to the failures of the past. Last year, the Eagles' offense became painfully predictable, largely because a talent like Jahan Dotson was criminally underutilized. While Mannion will not make that mistake. In this new system, every single receiver on the field has a highly defined, incredibly specific role. You don't just run routes out there, you execute a vital function. The winner of this WR2 battle must be flawless in their designated execution, or the entire system collapses onto itself.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the soul of a football team is rarely captured in a playbook. It's captured in a singular, powerful symbol, a physical representation of a franchise radically shifting its entire identity.
Number 11. It's a number that carries an immense, heavy legacy in Philadelphia. It was the absolute symbol of offensive dominance, of deep passes, of physically bullying opposing cornerbacks. It was the jersey that struck fear into defenses. And with A.J. Brown gone, it hung in the locker room, vacant, a ghost of seasons past. But it didn't stay vacant for long. The immediate aftermath of the A.J. Brown trade saw an incredibly telling move. The ghost of the past, the historic offensive star, has been completely replaced by the defensive future. Rising star linebacker Jihad Campbell, he didn't hesitate. He immediately jumped at the chance to claim the vacant number 11. He didn't shy away from the spotlight or the immense expectations that come with that number. He actually demanded them.
This is profoundly significant. Campbell wearing number 11 isn't just a quirky roster update for the equipment manager, it is a literal, physical changing of the guard. It represents a franchise pivoting from relying solely on an offensive powerhouse to leaning heavily into a brutal, unforgiving defensive identity. The offense right now, it's vulnerable. It's transitioning. It is battered. And the defense, symbolized by a vicious linebacker wearing a star receiver's number, is now tasked with carrying the immense weight of this entire franchise on its back.
The margins are agonizingly thin. The stakes are absolutely uncompromising. Between a completely unproven safety room, an offensive line fighting a literal war of attrition against its own bodies, and an offense desperately searching for its new rhythm, the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles are balancing on a razor's edge. Will they forge a new, defensively driven path to a Super Bowl run, or will the cracks in the foundation cause the entire season to collapse before our very eyes? The edge is razor thin, so who is going to step up?